Hi, I'm Christine. Today we're looking at jeans, blue jeans, the most requested of all topics for people whose natural colors, and therefore their clothing, their cosmetics, and their hair color fall into one of the 12 groups, also known as seasons. We're going to be looking at 5 images today. They were made in your style. If you would like to follow them for shopping information, links will be in the description box. And I will also add the panels that we're going to look at along with the script as a blog post in my website. Link also in the description. For everyone, ideas that we'll see in a few places. One is stay inside the value range, meaning the light to dark range for your season. And I'd refine that a little bit more by saying stay inside the value range for blue, which by nature is a color that will go to a darker endpoint than, say, pink or yellow might. The easiest approach for finding denim or any color that's going to look great with your coloring and your clothes and cosmetics is to look for a color that would fit into the palette strip with the most similar color. Your odds, I think, are better if you look at the entire strip, all the blues, rather than looking for an identical match to a single color, because it's that ability to work with other colors and to belong and to look convincing that is what color harmony is all about. And again, this applies to all your choices, but denim is a bit of a different application, the same as hair color. You might not find an identical match in your palette, and so your focus is, well, what's going to look terrific with all my other colors? Your natural colors have 3 properties. They have a certain setting between warmest and coolest. They have a certain setting between the softest and the brightest. And they fit inside a light to dark range. Every color in you, every pink, green, yellow, and blue, has the same settings. Traditional color wheel primary blue is cool, but there's thousands of blues. And some of them are warmer or considered warmer or look good with warm color collections, color palettes. The thing about blue is I find it difficult to think of in terms of warm and cool. Yellow is not hard. You warm up yellow, it gets kind of golden or orange. You cool off yellow and it becomes more lemon yellow. Blue's not like that. I can think about the theory, well, if I add green to blue and it turns more turquoise, warm seasons can do that. Or if I add more red to blue, red, warm, like a fireplace, it turns more violet. But I have trouble applying the theory to the facts, what I see in front of me. And it's dangerous to over-apply theory to facts because you can twist the facts around. You got to do it the other way. So I solve the problem. I answer my question by doing one of 2 things. One is I forget about warm and cool. What can I know, see, and trust? Well, I know the light to dark range. I can trust myself to tell that. And I know the bright to soft range. I can trust myself with that too. So if a pair of jeans or any color is outside, it's too light or too dark for your color palette, or if it's way too bright or soft for the rest of your colors, forget about it. It belongs to some other season. And the other thing that I do is I put the colors to work. I make outfits. I look at how they look with other colors, and I'll show you what I mean by that as we go along. Let's talk about this picture here. Starting with spring. Jeans pair number 1. Well, you can see the brightness, a fair bit of blue, right? There's more color pop. It jumps towards you a little bit more. Less sense of the softness, so you gotta physically move your eyes. That's something you learn, right? That sensation of move your eyes, because we tend to kind of get locked onto this target that we're looking at. Move your eyes over to the summer and think about, could I slide one of those spring pairs into the summer group or vice versa? No, there would be a brightness difference that you would be able to perceive. Pair number 2. In spring, there's a green tinge, but it looks like Caribbean ocean green. It has a kind of lagoon quality rather than a heavy or metallic green. Number 3, darker end. Maybe better for true or bright spring, but they got enough blueness that I could work with those for any of the springs. They'd be a harder fit in summer. They don't have as much visible gray. They'd be a harder fit to put them down in autumn because the blue is just too blue. And they'd be a harder fit to put over into winter because they're not blue enough. And they may not be dark enough, let's say as winter's number 3 pair. Spring number 4, that's a kind of good example of an average pair. You see some yellow coming through, that's the warmth of spring. Lightweight feeling about them. I see jeans as the ultimate neutral, maybe even more than gray. We're conditioned to think of them as jeans go with everything. And as long as they don't fit into the other groups, you're probably just fine. How about summer? They're soft, meaning less blue. Compare them with spring, compare them with winter. Less blue pigment. And there's a touch of pink or violet that washes through all of them. They're all inside the light to dark range. They're only moderately faded because neither summer colors nor summer neutrals are faded to the point of colorless. The opposite, actually. The neutrals have color. We'll look more at each of the 4 groups, and I'll show you what I mean by colorless jeans. I like color to add something. I like color to work with the other colors. But if it's too faded, it's like font that's too small or too gray to read. There's got to be enough pigment for it to do something, to make a connection. And as in number 2, the blue can be a touch greenish, but it's a soft blue-green. It's not as green as the green we saw in spring. Let's look at autumn. We are inside the value range for the blues for autumn. These images are a kind of an average, but I could see number 2, the lighter one, is good for soft autumn. I also look for dark gold, orange, or burnt orange cast in the fabric as well as the stitching, which helps to make sense of blue in an otherwise warm group of colors, especially for true autumn. The strength and purpose of jeans aligns so well with autumn colors and textures, but the blue might not be technically perfect. So if you have this gold moving through the fabric, it helps to harmonize with all the other colors. If I were in autumn, I'm only a little bit autumn, otherwise I'm winter, I would be all over colored jeans because, especially as a true autumn, what happens to blue in that palette is it either goes to teal or to a bronzy purple, and you can find that in jeans. Autumn is soft compared with winter, and so you can see a little more fade compared with the winter colors, and also there's less presence of black. Winter is dark and bright, 2 of its color properties. Doesn't mean every color is dark. It goes to a darker endpoint, but it can also go all the way to white. It does, however, mean every color is bright, meaning it's clear, meaning there's not a lot of visible gray. It's not dusty, heathered color, however light or dark it might be. So even the more faded pairs here are either quite dark or quite blue or both compared to any other group. The orange cast of autumn is gone. Dark winter has a little bit of autumn mixed in, and they can make sense of some dark orange. For true winter or bright winter, though, I would pick white or silver stitching, or black or navy blue, or even red. Orange stitching, it depends on the styling. If it's an outdoor relaxed pair, you're going to wear it with flannel or fleece, then orange stitching is fine. It's understood to be just inherent in jeans. Let's look at each of the 4 main color groups: spring, summer, autumn, winter. Each one of them subdivides into 3. We'll start with spring, light without getting too near white, and bright, meaning more color pigment than, let's say, summer. Light spring, colors could slide into the blue strip of color for this season. That's a good start. Some of them are closer to violet, like the first pair, which would be fine for light summer too. Some may be greener or have more blue pigment, like the middle pair. The pair on the right, the fade helps to lighten the colors without fading them to white. White would look sharp or separate. I like that they're not strongly pink for summer. They're not very gold for autumn. They're not very dark for winter. So they don't fit into any other group particularly well. They're not beyond the darkest blue of the palette for light spring. If I saw this at the market with one of the lighter tops, I would think it looked fine. Just an example of the higher contrast that this season could wear. True spring, color properties, well, one, it's brighter than light spring, meaning there's going to be more color pigment. The blue can be more turquoise, like the pair on the left, or it could be a brighter, clearer blue like the middle pair. True spring also goes to a darker end point than light spring. And it can carry a lot of, or it can balance a lot of color pigment in the other items. So the pair on the right, you wouldn't go any darker. And they hold their own quite nicely next to the other palette colors, the corals and the greens. It was actually kind of exciting looking. Bright spring, brighter and darker. So they have a light bright navy blue, which could also be fine for bright winter. Okay with the black and white top. I thought it looked perfectly okay. This spring goes to a darker end point, and so the pair on the left is greener, nice with the palette emerald. Not so nice with autumn's olive greens though. And then there's a pair on the right that has more pigment, more darkness, but it's not necessarily black. The pair in the box marked all seemed like a color any spring could wear pretty well. It's bright enough for any of them. It's not fading backwards on the page. Light enough for a light spring. Bright enough for a true spring. It could slide into that box really easily. Might be an example of one of the lighter jeans that a bright spring could also wear. Summer. Softer than spring. Could say more faded. Colors that would belong in the same world with pastels. Moderate light to dark range in the blues, so there's no extremes of whitish or blackish. It goes from medium light to medium dark. And they have a pinkish violet cast in the blue, or it could be a blue-green, like a soft aqua blue-green, softer version than spring would have. So let's start with the lower right quadrant so that we can compare back to them as we look at this panel. The all pair, first pair there, they look a lot like the darker light spring pair we saw. They're just less green. Otherwise, medium clear, medium dark navy blue, dark side of light summer, but light season doesn't mean everything you wear is light. It just means the darks don't get much darker than this. The two pairs on the right marked very light or V-light are examples of jeans that I just don't think they do very much. They're too light or too soft or both. They don't subtract for summer. I don't think they add anything. They're just like placeholders. Yeah, we see jeans as neutral. Yeah, they're a perfectly okay summer choice. But I was looking for blues that had a little more personality, that participated more in the overall look. Light summer. Pair on the left, brighter, more blue pigment. Could easily work for light spring as well. Also a little more aqua, less pink than the middle pair. As spring yellow blends into summer blue, the blue will become a little bit more green. The middle and the right pairs, well, they're pinker. They're also softer than anything you would find in spring, but they're not too light or too soft, comparing them back to the ones marked very light. About the pair marked all, they would be at the darker end of light summer, as we said, bright enough with a fair bit of blue, but they're only medium dark. The true summer group in the upper right square, the pink violet's more noticeable than with light summer. You see a light to dark range. You also see a bright to soft range, all of which could work fine for this season, as could the pair marked all. True summer takes a step darker than light summer, but it is still a soft pastel-based group of colors. When we get to soft summer, well, autumn is arriving, so it's putting touches of gold in all the colors. It's faint, but you can see it in the left pair. You move your eyes up to the light summer row above. We can also see it in the middle pair compared with either of the groups above. Soft summer is also the darkest of the summers. It takes one step darker, which we see in the middle pairs. Still very much summer, though. That pinkish tone is still present. Soft summer is the softest of the summers, and you may find these to have less blue color pop than the rows above, despite being darker. Darker is not the same as brighter. Although it can look like a lot of pigment, it isn't always that way. Colors can be dark and soft, like these. Same as hair, same as lipstick. They can be dark but not have a lot of color pigment. The all pair more pigmented, but with the neutralness of jeans and the moderate darkness, they easily pass that 80-20 rule, and they're still more summer than they are spring, autumn, or winter. Autumn comes with a story. You would think autumn and jeans would be easy, a home run. That's what I thought. Strong and rich looking, using soft color. That's that magical talent that autumn has. And the old gold and the burnt orange would just work better. Well, what happened was I found it very challenging to pick jeans with the palette. It's not uncommon with certain colors to have to look at it from a few different angles, but I'd never really encountered it with an entire clothing category, even if I stayed fairly dark, because darkness is an autumn color property, and so it tends to make things work better, along with warm and soft, autumn's other two color properties. I was really questioning my choices. So I did what I always do When I have to solve this kind of who's going to wear this well question, I put the colors to work. Make the theory do something and see if the facts can prove it. If they don't, you got the wrong theory. And so I make outfits. I am looking for equal energy. I don't want the top or the bottom to be, or one of the colors to be dominant. I don't want them both to look washed out. So I chose 3 tops, same color family, olive green for soft true and dark autumn. Well, the job was much easier. Hopefully it is as useful to not just to tell you what to do, because you can't just go into stores and think it's going to happen, but also how to do it, how I do it, how I solve these problems on my own when the color palette isn't quite enough information. Also, this is another example of looking for color harmony, which is how we want our whole presentation to be, using reference items when the palette isn't quite, you don't quite trust the result you're coming up with. And there was, we talked about that a lot in the video, Nextdoor Season Colors, which I will link in the description box. For example, the jeans in Soft Autumn, they're medium dark. They're not as soft as I started with. In the lower right quadrant, there were 2 pairs I thought about for Soft Autumn. You can see them there with the Soft Autumn top. But the whole look just was weak. It was washed out. They both have some gold, but next to that top, the pair in front just looked pink. The darker pair at the rear is better, but I found the combinations with the darker jeans, the ones that are in the Soft Autumn block at the top left, stronger and better. And even the jeans in the picture with the woman wearing the top, it's another one of those, yeah, okay, they're jeans. They're neutral enough, but they don't enrich the look in any way. They're just there. True Autumn, what happens? What happens to color? It gets brighter, meaning there's more color pigment, right? Bright is not warm, although people often see warm color as bright, and people often see dark color as bright. They're both different. Brightness is just how much color pigment. And that may be why we think autumn colors are quite bright. But technically, like if you put them on a chart, they're actually quite soft. I thought about the lightest of the turquoise teals in the True Autumn palette. And you can see that also in the lower right quadrant. The combination wasn't working for me. I just thought it looked weird. I did not see them as being better together. Maybe that's more of a spring turquoise, but somehow it looked odd. And I am the first to admit that my tastes may be conventional, and we should all have our own preferences with colors. Once you know your season, it is your paint box, it is your playground. You wear it any way you want to. The ones that stayed with True Autumn, a lot of gold coming through, quite a lot of gold. In fact, when I was looking at all of the jeans on the page, there were maybe 50 jeans, I was looking for the gold, or I was looking for the orange more so than the particular blues. They are more pigmented than Soft Autumn, but they're not bright by any means. They don't pop off the page. The pair on the far right in the True box, I went back and forth with that one. But, you know, in the real world, walking into the coffee shop with that top, I'd be fine with it. It wouldn't strike me as odd. I wouldn't be distracted. I wouldn't notice it in a negative way. And there's still enough gold and orange coming through. Well, what happens in Dark Autumn? Color gets darker. It also gets brighter. And so darkness makes blue jeans work better. But I also was looking for more blue pigment. Pair on the left, basic navy blue, little bit golden orange, but they're not bright. They're not an intense kind of navy blue. Center pair, it's that bronzy blue-purple tone that I mentioned earlier. That looks really great with Dark Autumn. It's just a variation on a warm dark blue. The pair on the right could be for True Autumn as well. Basic jeans energy. That would be harder to place in the other groups. The pair marked in the all box in the lower right just looked like standard jeans. Had an autumn feel, some warm orange coming through, medium soft amount of pigment, medium dark. Autumn can work with that. Sometimes things don't always turn out the way your logical mind tells you that they should. Winter color is cool. That should work for blue. It's bright, so you just need a lot of blue pigment, and they're dark. Well, that's okay. You just go buy dark jeans. But people in winter colored seasons can have a lot of trouble feeling comfortable or well represented in blue jeans. And so I like black as part of winter blue jeans, or a sort of midnight blue, because for one, it makes the jeans more identifiable as winter. No one else is going to wear that amount of black as blue jeans. So it moves them out of the other seasons. Darkness extremes are kind of a winter trademark, and it creates the opportunity to wear the jeans with a lighter bright top, makes these high contrast situations, big separation between colors or big separation between lightest and darkest, that happens to look excellent on winter colored people. The look becomes more balanced or harmonious because winter color is bright. It is like straight out of the tube color, almost synthetic looking at times. And if that's what you're wearing on top, a very faded pair of jeans or even slightly faded jeans can look more faded than ever. And like a pair you've had since university. And then the whole look is not A, balanced, and B, it's not as expensive as it could look. Winter colored people, if they're going to do casual, it looks more normal to be a little more dressed up than everybody else. That would be how you do casual. I think winter looks come together better. There's better continuity between the person and all the items that they're wearing, better harmony in the whole presentation when everything is fairly new looking. And if you find a brighter, lighter blue, like what we saw back in Bright Spring, that could be great as well. Beginning at the top with Bright Winter, this is the brightest of the winters, the most pigment. So we expect to see lots of blue, which we do. There's some fading over the leg, but the other places where the waist or the hem meet the other parts of the outfit, they're quite okay. Bright Winter is also the lightest of the winters. It's not as dark as the others, so we see lots of blue with less darkness. For example, the middle pair is a lot like the dark winter pair on the right, but they're less dark and they look brighter. True Winter is next, less blue pigment. True Winter is softer, meaning one step back in terms of this extreme amount of pigment, a little bit darker as well, although the pairs on the left and right of Bright Winter, they'd be quite okay. No golden or orange cast in the fabric, less even than Dark Winter. The stitching is either white or black, or it's not obviously orange. Depending on the person, the intention for the jeans, some burnt orange stitching would be okay. It's understood as part of jeans, but I'd be more interested in silver embroidery or a red logo other than burnt orange in True Winter. Dark Winter is the softest of the winters. The pair on the left seems like the least they could do, the minimum amount to balance Dark Winter clothing. The faded areas still retain a fair bit of color, fair bit of darkness still there. The pair in the center, the golden orange cast of Autumn, but it's faint. It's not the first thing that you notice in an otherwise dark blue purplish kind of navy. Pretty good with the white top and the metallic shoes, actually quite okay in this outfit. And then the pair on the left, that's a dark teal, and even the light areas are dark compared with the other pairs on this page. About the pair marked all, there is enough red purple tone coming through for any winter. Navy blue in winter becomes a kind of purpley blue or a dark, slightly greenish blue, and it's a good darkness level for any winter. The picture in the center, the woman with the red heels and the leather jacket. Near white is in the value range for winter. And this color, you could find something like it in the Icy Color strip. But the effect in denim is just to read a little bit soft. It's hard to make icy denim, icy colored denim. And so the body shape in light soft color can become a little rounded. In autumn and winter, you need darkness to tighten the facial contour. And it's the same thing in the silhouette, to slenderize and tighten the body silhouette, to separate the front from the sides, to kind of create corners instead of something that's wide and curved visually. You got to have some darkness. Body same as face. So this could be a very decent example of a light denim to wear as a winter. It could work well enough with the other colors. You're wearing it further away from the face. And so in a modern, trendy way, if you have the right body type for this color as pants, then this could be a good example of what to wear. The playing card in the right-hand pair in the lower right box. That's another example of shopping with a reference item. You can just tuck it into your purse. The card, the colors, the same color dimensions that appear in winter closets, the red, the yellow, the white, the black. These are the colors you're going to be wearing your jeans with. And for me, I find that these jeans look very faded, like something you've had since university. Maybe it's also the style of the jeans. Whereas if you laid that card on any of the other jeans in the bright, true, and dark boxes, it would be a more effective combination. There'd be more balance, and the two items would help one another look better together. Knowing the colors that look best on you starts with knowing the colors you are already. What is our starting point? What do you bring to the table? This is your built-in reference point for everything that you're going to buy and wear. Starts with knowing your season, comes from a live color analysis experience. You only have to do it once after you're 20, and then you know your track. As the fashion advice and the trends come and go and swirl around your head, you know your track and you just stay on it. People will say, I don't have a lot of money. I don't know how to get started. You don't need a lot of money. You need less money than you probably spend right now. What you need to know is who you are inside this whole world of color advice and how-to videos. You're already buying jeans. You go in the same stores. But when you get in the store, you're going to make a different decision. You're going to buy a different pair of jeans because you have new information. I know that it is very easy to overestimate how far we can get in a week. But I promise you that you are underestimating how far you can get in a year. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.